We have a moderate 4 out of 5 risk for severe weather across portions of the Midwest today, and a tornado outbreak is possible. We may see the first tropical storm of the year in the Atlantic make landfall later this evening. We still have multiple days of moderate excessive rainfall risks, and cooler temperatures look like they will continue to push into the central and eastern U.S. at least through the end of June. It's Wednesday, June 17th, 2026. Let's get into the weather updates. We're going to start first with our severe weather in the Midwest today, and then we'll talk about the tropics. As you can see, we have a large marginal, slight, enhanced, and moderate risk for severe weather today. That moderate risk, or most significant risk for severe thunderstorms today, is through portions of central Illinois and central to northwestern Indiana. And that is exactly where we have this large 15% SIG 2 risk for damaging tornadoes today. So SIG 2, we could see EF3 plus tornadoes today. And you can see that actually extends across a good portion of Indiana, really almost all of central to northern Indiana, and then a good portion of central to northern Illinois as well. Now you have that larger SIG 1 10% risk, meaning EF2 plus tornadoes are possible. That stretches from Missouri all the way out through Ohio. And then you have that larger, of course, 5 and 2% tornado risk that expands out through portions of the plains, upper Midwest, and then further off through the Ohio Valley out to the east. We have a large wind risk as well today. You can see this 5, 15, and 30% wind risk. This is a SIG 1 risk, meaning we could see 80 plus mile per hour gusts through portions of Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. And we have that 30% hail risk as well, so watch out for large hail, 2 to 3 plus inches in size. Now, we do actually have some severe weather to watch out for tomorrow. You can see through portions of the southern plains, southeast, and up the east coast, even a little bit of a tornado chance down in the southeast. And this is triggered off of that tropical low or tropical cyclone that's going to be moving into the Gulf states. And things could get interesting as we get into Saturday back in the central plains. All right, let's go through a detailed breakdown of what's happening with our severe weather parameters today. As we push into the late morning hours and early afternoon hours, you can see this nice 500 millibar jet streak pushing through portions of Iowa, Illinois, and then into Indiana. And you can see down in this bottom left screen, we actually have a pretty strong LLJ. Now, you can see where the 500 and 850 overlap. There's a lot of convergence right over Illinois, and we have some very, very strong shear. You'll also notice in the top right screen, we have that baroclinic boundary setting up as well. So you can see that warm air from the south beginning to advect up north into that cold pool. This is going to help with forcing along this line. And once again, you have that 850 and 500 millibar jet streaks kind of converging there. So a lot of shear and forcing in this area because of that temperature boundary or that baroclinic zone. We also have our dew points beginning to surge at this time as well. If I zoom in on the bottom right screen here, you can see we're getting into the upper 60s through portions of central Illinois and potentially even approaching the lower 70s. This is as we get into around 1 p.m. So I would say early afternoon, this is the area we're watching. Now, there could be a little bit of a washout, and I'm going to go over that in a second. Getting into the later afternoon, our dew points do surge up to the north, and we're really sitting in the mid 60s to low 70s through a good portion of Indiana and Illinois. You can see that jet streak on the bottom left screen is now pumping through Indiana, and we have a pretty good jet streak through portions of Illinois and Indiana at the 500 millibar level as well. But we have a very diffuse dry line up here, and the temperatures are just much cooler than you'd typically see them for a significant severe weather outbreak day. You can see from Peoria over to Lafayette, Indiana, up to Fort Wayne, we're talking about low 70s, high 60s. So how far south does this warm boundary stay? It looks like it wants to kind of lock in central to southern Illinois or Indiana. And I think that has to do with the fact that we're going to have a lot of moisture moving through earlier in the morning and earlier in the afternoon. So we're going to have a lot of rain cooled air. Our atmosphere is going to be cooled. And this is what could potentially turn this day into a bust, where we just don't see the significant severe weather that we thought we could, because the atmosphere doesn't have time to dry out, heat back up, and kind of create that instability for a second wave of storms. The second round of storms is the round of storms today that we think could be severe. That is why we have that moderate risk labeled today. And believe me, when you take a look at this bottom left screen, the 850, this is a really, really impressive jet streak. This is strong shear down in the low levels. And again, a really nice crosswind here, westerly flow at the 500 millibar level. And we may even have a south or southeasterly flow all the way down at the surface. So our winds are really, really rotating here as you go up in the atmosphere. So a dangerous, dangerous tornado outbreak is on the table if our instability is there. But again, a lot of moisture is moving through this region this morning. There's going to be a lot of clouds. I don't know if our instability is going to build back up. We'll go over that now. So here's the latest HRRR, and we do have these storms out here right now. We actually have some severe thunderstorm watches out in Iowa and some severe thunderstorm warnings. This is going to continue to push off east throughout the morning. You can see it moves into northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin as we get into the early morning hours around 10, 11. Then we get into the early afternoon. This is pushing through northern Indiana into Michigan. Now, this is a lot of rainfall. This is going to cool the atmosphere a lot. Does this move out in time? Do we dry up? Do we heat up so that we're able to build that instability really break any potential cap for what should be our main event, the second round of storms. The HRRR doesn't really see it happening. I mean, this is a complete bust up here. We don't really get any sort of significant severe weather. Now, this is obviously just the future reflectivity. It's the updraft helicity reflectivity. So again, it's not something you want to make your forecast off of, but it makes sense why we're not seeing any significant supercells back here after you have this kind of big wall of water move over this region here. Let's take a look at the latest Rufus. The Rufus sees it a little bit differently. Now, the Rufus actually does see a kind of second round of storms here, a second band forming behind your main potential MCS, or really just potential rain showers moving through Illinois and Indiana earlier in the morning. And this is where our warm boundary may be a little bit further to the south. So I do think it's possible that we do get some very strong thunderstorms down here to the south, some strong supercells, maybe a nice MCS pushing off towards southeastern Illinois and southern Indiana. But the most significant shear is going to be north of this line. So even if we do have some very strong to severe thunderstorms down here, it's likely not going to be as significant as if we were to see these storms kind of form up a little bit further to the north and push out east here. This is where, once again, our tornado parameters are kind of through the roof if we can get the storms initiating and pushing through this region. Now, it is possible that we don't see this kind of broad area of rainfall, and it's a little more isolated or a little more scattered, so we do have some of that daytime heating. And then we get a second round of storms behind this rainfall that actually is moving through some significant instability. So everyone needs to have their alerts on out here. If you're in a risk zone, once again, there is the possibility of a tornado outbreak or a few strong EF3 plus tornadoes still in this region today. They may move this risk zone a little bit south. We'll have to see. It always happens right after I release my video, but just pay attention to the latest updates. Here is potential Tropical Storm Arthur. We'll see. There is a chance that this thing does become a tropical storm before landfall, although I'd say it's almost overland right now. You can actually see the center of the lows right about here, just off the coast of Texas. I know it's weird that all this convection, all of this moisture is off to the east of the storm, but that's just because it's kind of being pulled that way because of our jet stream up to the north and just because of the way it's interacting with these systems around it. And again, this is why there's an elevated flooding risk for a lot of these regions up to the north and to the east of this system. A lot of lightning in here. That's typically a sign that we have a strengthening storm, and you can see those high cloud tops. So, I don't think it'll have the chance to wrap up though, which really allows these systems to rapidly intensify. Not that we're going to see a rapidly intensifying storm. This thing is likely going to be over land potentially within the next 10 hours. So we'll see. But again, it is possible it becomes a tropical storm. You can see here from the NHC, potential tropical cyclone 1, it could become tropical storm Arthur. We'll see. As you can see, we have that marginal, slight, and moderate risk for excessive rainfall today from Houston through New Orleans, Pensacola, out to Tallahassee, up to Jackson, Meridian, Montgomery, Alabama. So just be aware. Remember, if you're in a low-lying area, a flood-prone area, make sure you have a way to receive weather alerts. We also have a slight and moderate risk for excessive rainfall up through portions of the Midwest, northeastern Illinois, northwestern Indiana, and southwestern Michigan. You can see Chicago down through Kankakee, over towards Michigan City, South Bend, Benton Harbor, almost all the way down towards Bloomington. There is a moderate risk for excessive rainfall. So once again, make sure you have your weather alerts on. And especially if you're in a flood-prone area, again, be paying attention today. As we get into tomorrow, that moderate risk for excessive rainfall stays down here in the south through portions of Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and the panhandle of Florida. And then you can see, once again, central to southern Alabama in that moderate risk for excessive rainfall. So just a ton of rainfall for portions of the south over the next really 72 to 96 hours. Taking a look at the latest HRRR or total QPF quantitative precipitation forecast, you can see there's areas that could receive easily over 10 inches of rain. And I wanted to show you this because it's very unlikely we're going to have a large area that receives 10 plus inches, but it is possible to get localized or isolated areas of even 15, 16 plus inches of rainfall. There could be areas that receive up to 20. It just depends what happens with the banding of the rain showers. But everyone out here needs to be watching, because if some areas do receive that 10, 15 plus inches, flash flooding is guaranteed in those areas. And this is the latest from the National Blend. You can see it paints a little bit broader of a picture, but definitely portions of southeastern Mississippi, central to southern Alabama, and the panhandle of Florida, even going into central to southwestern Georgia here. A lot of rainfall. Make sure you're staying updated in your area. Cool temperatures are expected to continue all the way through the end of June. This is June 24th through June 30th. And that's because we have a large kind of winter-like trough continuously digging down into the central and eastern US. So it's a nice June. I can't remember the last June where we had below average temperatures for the average of the month through portions of the plains and out east. It's pretty rare, so enjoy it while it lasts. You know, we're about to get into July and it could get very, very hot for us once again. So once again, what is causing this pattern? Well, you can see this large upper level low spinning up here and our jet stream digging down into kind of the central US, Ohio Valley here. This is something, like I said, we see over winter, where you have this very cold air diving down from Canada, kind of being pulled down by our polar jet. This is not something you typically see over springtime or over summertime especially, but that's going to continue to funnel in this moisture into the eastern US. This jet stream and pattern is going to help to pull potential tropical storm Arthur, if we do get a tropical storm Arthur, up into the north and bring all that moisture across the southeast. Now this pattern also is going to keep it very dry out west. You could see down here, I mean, we really just have a big high pressure out here. There's not going to be the opportunity for much moisture out here over the next couple of weeks. Maybe as we get into the end of next week, we'll have to see. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you like this type of content, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're notified anytime I upload a new video or anytime I go live. I am going to try and go live later on this evening. I'll update you in the Discord if I do. If you want to join the Discord, which is updated every single day with all of the latest weather information that I talk about in my lives and in these videos, you can click the link right down in the description below. It is completely free. Once again, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video or the next live. See ya.